Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special show that we put together today for a dear friend from down under, from Sydney, Shantha De Silva. Who doesn't know Shantha De Silva in India? He's a friend of India, and India is his friend. There are times when we have to step away from commerce and do a lot more than we do in our day-to-day lives by holding hands. Here, I'm delighted to speech to introduce the literary effort of Shantha, from a hotelier to a consultant and now an author. Who doesn't know Shantha? Shantha is a fan of India, like I said. He holds a special place in his heart. He's headed ISG Southwest Asia from 2014 to 2017. That's not too long ago. He oversaw the doubling of the ISG portfolio in India, and he transformed the region to be amongst one of the globe top performers for 3 consecutive years. He guided ISG to a top 10 in great places to work with in India. And also, Shantha is a dear friend of BW Hotelier and BW Businessworld. And he will share some insights on his book. And also we shall have a panel discussion. Before that, we shall have a book inaugurations at the hand of our chairman, Dr. Anurag Batra. This is a special occasion. It will only be befitting that the entire fraternity comes together today and encourages and supports this wonderful effort by Shantha. Over to you, Shantha.
Hi, Anurag. Thank you very much. Thank you for the nice introduction. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to celebrate the launch of my book. I'm really pleased that all of you were able to join me and us. A special thanks to Dr. Batra and the panel. I'm delighted in this august company of this esteemed panel, colleagues and industry veterans and leaders I've known over the years. Thank you for joining today. I have been associated with BW Hotelier and BW Businessworld throughout my time in India, and even after that, and always enjoy the great events, the panel discussions, and the content they present. And they've had a great impetus. They've been a great impetus to the industry. So kudos to Dr. Batra and Bhuvanesh and his team for what they've done. Born and bred in Sri Lanka, I have a very close affinity towards India, and India holds a special place in my heart even to date. And like Anurag said, I had the ability to lead ISG in India, which is some of my fondest memories of my career and some of the greatest times that I've had, both myself and the team and ISG. We've achieved many things, but most importantly, we achieved success as a great team. And we managed to go from importing best practices to exporting best practices, which was a great tribute to the talent of the team. And 2 things stand out for me as contributing to the success that we achieved. Firstly, we put our heart and soul into everything we did, but we also had fun doing it. So we enjoyed it and it didn't seem like work at all. But more importantly, we believed. We believed in a vision and we believed in possibilities, no matter what. And that's what helped us drive the region to great success. I know many of my colleagues from that time are on this call, and a call out to all of you to the great times and how you made it possible. That brings me to the topic of my book, which is Believe, helping leaders unlock their true potential. As a child, I grew up in a home where my father was an author. I was surrounded by libraries and books and academics, and always nurtured a dream to write a book one day. I didn't know what, I didn't know when, and I didn't know how, but I knew I wanted to do it. And as years went by, it dawned on me that I wanted to share the stories of my success, the inspirations I've had, the learnings I've had, the experiences I've had, going from a trainee earning 600 rupees a month to leading a region of about 100 hotels. And my mantra was that if I could do it, anyone could do it. And it was up to me to share those stories with others so that they can get inspired too. And trying to find the best way to do this led me to creating the model Believe, which every letter of the word Believe stands for a step leaders can take to realize their own potential. The idea was not only to inspire leaders, but also to give them something practical and simple to implement that they can realize their own potential and their own dreams. So again, with the book, there was a great example of my belief, because you may have heard of Marshall Goldsmith, who is known as the #1 leadership thinker in the world many times over and a well-known author. And I reached out to him and I said, I want you to review my book. And I believed that he would do it, and I believed in the possibility. And in the end, not only did he review my book, he also endorsed the book. And my mantra remains that if I could do it, anyone could do it. And it's about believing in your potential and believing in possibilities so that you can achieve success like many others have. And if this book can bring an iota of inspiration to any leader to become a better leader, or to get closer to their dream or goal or vision, that would give me great pleasure. I just want to share one more story about belief that is turned into a personal mantra for me. And that's about a gentleman called James Stockdale. He was an admiral in the US. He was the highest ranking US officer to be imprisoned in Vietnam during the Vietnam War at the famous Hanoi Hilton. You may have heard of him. He spent 7 years being brutally tortured in Vietnam with no idea if or when he would go home again. And he attributes his survival to his ability to blend hard pragmatism with an unwavering hope and belief for the future. He says, I never doubted not only that I would get out, but also that I would prevail in the end and turn the experience into a defining event of my life, which in retrospect, he says he would never trade. And he believed that there was a possibility while facing the reality. And that gave me great inspiration throughout my career. And that relates back to my foundation of belief as well. And on that note of belief, Bhuvanesh, may I hand over back to you?
Let us get on with the good task of unveiling Shantha's effort. Dr. Batra will do it. Dr. Batra, let me hand over to you for some words that you'd like to say.
Thank you so much, Mr. Khanna. Mr. Khanna is like my older brother. He's older, and 2 weeks back, he was at my home, and I had my parents at my home, and we had one of the most relaxed evenings, and he was regaling my father, who's 82, and sometimes very reticent about Pakistan, Multan, and one of the things about Mr. Khanna, he does whatever he does with the land and passion. And clearly, in the last 2 years, he's been able to take BW Hotelier to another level. He clearly believes that the future is better than today. But today we are here because of Mr. Shantha De Silva. So congratulations to you, Mr. De Silva. And I'm very upset with you. And I'm saying it in a joking way. I have to tell you a short story. One, I get at least 2 books a day from people who've written books. I buy 50 of my books. And Mr. Kachru, good to see you. Good evening, Mr. Singh. Good to see you. Mr. Puri, good to see you. Rahul, good to see you. And my colleagues at BW Businessworld. I get at least 2 books a day, at least. And I buy another 30, 40 in a week myself. And when Mr. Khanna has been to my home, my living room and my study, I have books and books and books. I can hide behind of that. I can tell you, when I got the mail first time about your book and got to know about the name, I smiled. I was happy because I must tell you, 3 years back, a broadcaster approached me to do a daily show on an English news channel. And we even shot 2-3 episodes with leading industrialists, top 10 industrialists. And the show was called Believe. So I believe whatever you believe in happens. So clearly that's why I said, but belief belongs to everyone in the world, and belief can be anyone's. So congratulations on your book. Now, the reason I mentioned I get 2 books is your book is among the two best package. Best. If I went to a bookstore and I saw your book in the shelves, I'd pick it up. The three best, I would say. One is Indira Nui's book, because she sent me an advance copy about 2 months back. It gets launched on the 27th September. Your book, and I recently read a book called The Attention Factory by Matthew Brennan. This is a book about the founder of TikTok. It's a story of Mr. Yiming, who is the founder of TikTok, and the story of TikTok and China in some way. These three covers, and I would say maybe fourth, Atomic Habits. Very clean, very close, a dark cover, as in, dark not in its content, but so it's very well done. Now let me get into the contents of the book. As you rightly said, this book is to let leaders discover their best and realize their potential. And there's a saying that anything that you believe you can do, you can create that. It's a saying, it sounds cliche, but whatever we can visualize and whatever we believe in. I mean, BW Hotelier was an idea 7 years back. 6.5 years back, Mr. Khanna joined it. 7. Okay.
8.
No, yeah. But we launched it on 12th Jan 2015. So it's 6.5 years, and you joined more like 7 years back, right? I could be off here and there. But today it is a reality, and we still have done 10% of what we believe. So I really believe whatever you believe in happens. You believed in that you could write a book that would impact leaders and they could learn from their journey, and your interesting anecdotes in the book. So I'm sure it will be not only helpful to people in the professional domain, to CEOs, CXOs, entrepreneurs, but it will also be valuable to students. And the age of entrepreneurship is coming down. Entrepreneurs are also leaders. I meet young entrepreneurs who already did 50 million at 22. So really, I'm sure it will help them become the best versions of them. I don't want to stay between the leaders of the hospitality industry, Mr. Kachru, Mr. Puri, Mr. Singh, and my friend Rahul. And Rahul, thank you for sending those articles. Keep them coming. Because they come from you, I definitely read them. And they are leaders who have lived multiple lives, achieved multiple things in their life. But one thing that is common amongst all the people on the panel, including Mr. Khanna, is they've created other leaders. I think belief is about creating leaders. When I read it, that's the thought that came to me. So my congratulations. And I was supposed to bring the book to the office. I came at 9 a.m. to the office. I'm still in the office. And it's my second day physically in the office. So I forgot. So I apologize for that. It will come here by 5:45. And I hope I can show it on the screen. I don't want to stand between you and the other leaders. Congratulations from us at BW Businessworld and BW Hotelier. And we not only reviewed in BW Hotelier, but also in BW Businessworld. It's a book that's on its own merit, needs to be taken to a wider audience. And I'm sure it'll be a bestseller. I have my own favorite stories from the book, but during the panel discussion, we look forward to your favorite stories from the book. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mr. Khanna.
And thank you, Dr. Batra. Can we have the honors? Let's get the video on, and then let's start the ceremony. So the beauty about the book, Shantha, is not just the content which Dr. Batra spoke. I mean, it's the way you present it. Can we bring up the book, everybody? So I have this special one. I'm going to show it in the box. All right. There you go. Salman, can we get the book? Can we get the screens, please? Let's hold the book up. All right. So there it is. Amazing book. What a beautiful book. Amazingly presented. What amazing packaging. If one was to fall in love with it without reading it, you will. Yeah. Thank you. There goes. Yeah. Congratulations, Shantha.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh,
Thank you very much.
Shantha, any words from you?
I can't think of a better August panel than this to launch the book with. And Dr. Batra, thank you for your kind words. Like I said, it's been a dream, and I knew I was going to do it, but I didn't know it was going to come out this way. So I'm really pleased how it has come out. But it's also about pushing boundaries and believing in possibilities that got me to where I am. And even with the book, this box has amazing stories of how many different people went through to get this done in different countries as well. And finally, I got the final version. So it's all about possibilities, and I'm really thrilled the way it has come out. And more importantly, I wish that everybody would like the content as much as well.
So Shantha, tell us the first country it was launched in. Sri Lanka or Australia?
This is the first official book launch I'm doing.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, we're on it.
Yeah. The book is available in other countries, but the official launch this is the first one.
Oh, excellent. We're happy to be able to do that. Yeah.
I had great partners, so I thought that's the place to launch it first.
Yeah. So now let us get into the panel for which we've all gathered here after the launch. Our industry has been through good times, bad times, but very, very tough last 2 years. We came out, we went down again, but seems we are getting back on our feet, and this one's for stay. So we're staying there firmly. And I don't personally, my personal belief, people may disagree with me, the third wave is overstated. But yes, it's always nice to be careful. But we're not doing too much except coming back. We're all traveling. Mandeep is not here. I've traveled. Dr. Batra has not traveled. Kachur Saab is not. I don't know whether Dilip has traveled or not. Dilip, did you travel? No. Rahul has. Of course, he's gone back home. Permit me to start with Mr. Kachru. Kachru Saab, being a veteran in the industry, what changes or paradigm shifts in leadership have you observed over the years?
Thanks, Bhunesh, and thank you, Mr. Batra, and my friends. I think there couldn't have been a better opportunity for all of us to get together to do this. I think it's
sorry,
really
you guys. I skipped. You guys had to say a few words about Shantha's book.
No, so I'll be happy, and I'm sure each one of us has a story. I actually don't really know Shantha that much, I must confess, but I have really heard a lot about him. Anybody I have spoken to in the industry has really enjoyed working with him. You know why? Primarily, they consider him a role model who focuses so much of his time on mentoring people. I think that's what is required in our industry more than anywhere else. His team agenda comes before self. And I think he needs to be complimented, commended for what he has done. His mentees always appreciated the efforts he puts in, not only to improve them. The difference here is, Bhunesh, he actually looks at opportunities, what I have heard. He looks at opportunities, how he can improve himself at that time. I mean, isn't this commendable of what he has done? And, one of his mentees, Nivesh, who has been part of helping him out, I think one message which is very clear in this book is believe in your own experiences. I started reading the book. I got engrossed into it. And, one loves how he has guided everybody to unlock their own potential. This is what is important. Unless you believe in yourself, you really can't do it. In one of the chapters, if I remember correctly, he said, look into the mirror and learn to appreciate yourself. That's what only an optimist can do, only a person who believes in himself can do, and who believes he can make a difference. And he has actually made that difference. As he said, he started with 600 rupees, $5, he mentions in his book, and managed properties over $1 billion. I think this is commendable. I think, Shantha, you have been an asset. You will be an asset for the industry all the time. So don't think you have stepped back. You aren't there. You can still contribute a lot to the industry. Now, coming back, Bhunesh, what you said. Our industry in the last 2 decades, Bhunesh, has seen a paradigm shift, primarily because of ever evolving consumer behavior and impact of technology in our lives. I mean, that's actually made the difference. It has changed the way hoteliers conduct business now. That's one of the main shift. Few years back, I wouldn't say all, but most of us worked more in a controlled manner. I've been hanging around here for quite some time, and I can tell you, we were primarily task-oriented. I think the approach has changed for better to a more collaborative approach, which I think is very, very good for fostering teamwork, productivity, innovation, and above all, creativity. Business environment, Bhunesh, has transformed how leadership is actually. And let me correct myself, it's just not actually. It's how it's also perceived. So you have to now learn to balance between and make yourself more acceptable. Fundamentally, qualities of effective leaders haven't really changed, and they will never change. It's just the commercial environment, I agree with you, that has changed so radically that we have to adapt how we lead in order to keep pace with things. Leaders should be able to dirty their own hands. Unless they do it, they'll not be accepted as leaders. A noteworthy aspect of leadership that has seen prominence in today's time, besides the shift from hard leadership skills to soft leadership skills. Bhunesh, that would be my primary shift, which I feel. I'm leaving aside, if I take into account pandemic changes 80%, but overall, the last 2 decades have seen this paradigm shift.
Thank you, Mr. Kachru. That was very insightful, very valuable. And I think these nuggets of wisdom coming from you as the elder statesman of the industry shall stay with the generations that are now and coming. I shall, Mandeep, direct at you. With the backdrop of the last 2 years, and given your extensive journey as a renowned management consultant, and of course, a hotelier of great stock, what qualities, according to you, are necessary for the leaders who are coming tomorrow?
Thanks, Bhuvnesh. Leaders have different attributes, and leaders are different. if you look at some of the common characteristics with leaders, you know, vision, passion, integrity are given features for good leaders. But if I was to pick three today, which to me would be a sort of significant for a good leader, I think amongst the first one would be the ability to sort of embrace change. We live in a world where everything is changing so rapidly that if you're not able to embrace change, then it's going to be difficult for a leader to be able to last very long. I think there's that classic example of Kodak, which even Shantha refers, I think in chapter 1 of his book, on, you know, how very few people know that the first digital camera was made by a Kodak engineer. And obviously the leadership at that time didn't believe that this product, which was going to disrupt their entire business model, was anything they should take seriously. And look what happened to Kodak, as history is written on the corporate world. The second, I think, is communication. I think leaders must be great communicators. And when I say communicator, I don't necessarily mean a great orator, but somebody who has the ability and the belief that sharing information is very, very important if you have to grow the company. It has to be an environment where there is free flow of communication both ways, from the leader to the others and from the team up to the leader, both in terms of feedback, both ways, in terms of very clear articulating the goals of the company and the ability to sort of carry people, along. I think it's very, very important on how a leader must be able to speak freely and allow others to speak freely as well. I think there is one sort of example which I picked up from the book, which is about a former Ford CEO, Alan Mulally, where, when he joined Ford, he was asked, which car do you drive? And he said, I drive the Lexus. It's the world's finest car. And he was able to say that in a town hall with all Fiat workers, because that's what he believed that, and he wanted to communicate that what Ford was manufacturing was probably not the best in the world. And there was a distance that we had to travel. So communication is very important, to be able to be transparent and share the vision, be able to communicate, talk to everybody, carrying people along, and keeping them well informed and keeping yourself well informed by the feedback you get from the team is very important. And I think the third one, if I have to pick, is basically nurturing and building teams. I think if you can't nurture your people, if you can't be a people's person, if you can't be developing the people who work for you and being able to look at how they will become future leaders, I think that is very, very critical. If you really look at the sense of the book, it is Shantha trying to share and nurture others through his journey on how they could become better leaders. I think he also mentioned Jan Smith, one of his leaders, who was very inspirational for him, and how his belief was that you need to develop your people along with yourself if you have to find success. So I think nurturing and sort of building teams would be the third feature. These would be my top three, which I pick.
Very well said, Mandeep. Taking from what you just said, actually, we all grew up that way, didn't we? I was earlier our parents, the earliest ones to mentor us were our parents, then our educationists, then our co-mates in school, then of course our wives, and now our children. I think we're only going to be able to bring in the next generations if we are able to handle the baton well. So it's just about handing a well-oiled baton to somebody which can last, right? So through generations that has happened. I shall move to Dilip. Dilip, now, of course, my questions are going to be to Dilip, not just as a hotelier or former hotelier, but as an educationist. He's now somebody who's almost got 4 years, Dilip, behind you now? In the fourth year, yeah, right? Having set up IHS, right, the ISH, the predicament that has been faced by the hospitality industry during the pandemic, it has impacted interest in students who wanted to pursue the hotel management stream. How do we cross that line? You see, this, if one was to see life today, it's a fine pencil line, and today is just about a dot. This will be long gone and forgotten. But kids from these 2 or 3 years should not take wrong decisions and not opt for hotel management. That is critical because this is a great industry. You guys are living examples of where this industry has led talent to the top slots.
Shantha, congratulations. I think people have spoken about how well packaged the book is, but I have spent the last few days going through the book in a fair amount of detail. And I'm so impressed with not just the content, but the way in which you've structured the book, because it makes it very easy to understand, imbibe whatever you've written. You know, sometimes great authors try and overcomplicate their messaging. I think you've kept it in a structure in which it's very easy to understand and imbibe. And that's probably of great interest to me, because I read the book, and for me now, the lessons in the book, while your title talks about lessons for leadership, my own sense is that these are lessons which are as relevant to young students. I think Dr. Batra made that comment earlier as well. And when I think about the changes in education, in higher education, as a consequence of the pandemic, perhaps, but even otherwise, and what needs to change in that, lessons in your book are the kind of mindsets young students must imbibe at the start of their career. Psychology tells you that it is between the ages of 18 to 25 when the maximum mental maturity comes in young people. They might physically grow to their maximum extent by 2021, but the true development of the brain and who you finally are happens in these formative years. My own mantra with young people has always been to try and help them become the best version of themselves. And if they are able to understand, imbibe some of the lessons which you put in this book, imagine how well prepared they are to meet the challenges of the future. When the question is asked about what's going to happen to hospitality jobs in the future, which is what Bhuvnesh was asking, and our students in a predicament about this, firstly, no, they're not. I think people are smart enough to recognize that for young people, this is perhaps the best time to be in college, because you have a ringside view of these monumental changes taking place. This complete shift, and Mr. Kachu referred to it as well, into how leaders have to think in a post-pandemic world. For me, this is like a gold mine, right? It's a treasure trove of knowledge, understanding, which already I can tell you, I have put together a smaller team in college to look at the book and pull out some of the major lessons, learnings from this, in a way in which we can adapt them into some of the modules, whether they are on communications, on leadership, and all those things. So to me, that's kind of, one of the greatest things about the book. And personally, I think while the book may be very inspiring, to be a better leader, and we all learn every day, but for me personally, I think your book has inspired me to finally try and write a book myself. I think all of us at some point in our lives, careers, always have this aspiration ki mujhe bhi kitab likhni hai. And honestly, I clearly have. I mean, having gone into education, it's constantly on my mind. But I think your book has truly inspired me personally to now try and put pen to paper to, and you're going to be a hard act to follow, but it is very inspiring. And all the lessons, I mean, there's so many things. You make references to the Sweet 16, and you talk about how some people at that age became and did what they did because they believed, whether it was Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or Sachin Tendulkar, and you refer to a lot of people at that point in time. And I again think back to my young students and saying that, that age of 18, when they come to start their higher education with me, if I can make their minds pivot to understanding these, how do you seek validation, or how do you leverage your strengths and all the things, how do you deal with failures? These are not lessons just for leaders. I mean, leaders won't need these lessons if they've learned them in their formative years of education, right? Then it's a mindset which they imbibe and practice. I think so many things from your book will help me certainly try and share more of these with our students. So wonderful and amazing. So impressed.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I look forward to your book too.
I will seek your guidance when I start writing it.